It's so nice to see a mix of familiar and new names popping up as you all join as well. I think we're all good to get started. So firstly, thank you so much for joining us today to celebrate the launch of the second edition of our baby, Loyalty Programs, The Complete Guide, as well as hear from our expert panellists as we discuss how to optimize your loyalty program for success. Today's webinar event is brought to you by the Loyalty and Reward Code team, who are all on the call today. And for those of you who don't know us, we are a global loyalty consulting agency, and we design, implement and operate loyalty programs for the world's best brands. These include the likes of McDonald's, Visa, Gillette, UEFA and CommBank. In total, we've now consulted to over 100 major brands globally over the past decade across pretty much every industry, and we now have offices in New York, Sydney, Melbourne, and soon to be London. I'll just add a few more people. I'll also introduce myself properly. My name's Stacey Lyons and I'm the Loyalty Director at Loyalty and Reward Co, and I'll be moderating today's webinar event for you. I've been with the business for over 5 years now, and in that time I've been lucky enough to have a hand in over 40 of our major projects, and I also helped to co-write a couple of chapters in Loyalty Programs, The Complete Guide, second edition, which again, we're very proud to be launching today. In terms of the structure for the webinar event today, we're going to start with a quick interview with Philip Shelper, our CEO of Loyalty and Reward Co and author of Loyalty Programs, The Complete Guide. He'll be answering some questions about the latest edition of the book, and will also provide us with some insights on what he believes it takes to make a loyalty program succeed. The book launch will then be followed by an expert panel discussion on how to optimize your loyalty program for success. And the discussion will draw on content from both the book as well as the amazing careers of our great lineup of panellists. The panellists include Marianne Mewett, the CXO of Australian Venue Co. Hi, Marianne. Adam Schwab, co-founder and CEO of Luxury Escapes. It's great to have you on the call as well, Adam. Lincoln Hunter, principal at Loyalty Legal and contributor of the legal chapter of the book. Hey, Lincoln. As well as Philip Shelper, our CEO. This should be a really rich and very insightful discussion, given the quality of the panellists that we have been lucky enough to get on with us today, and who have also so generously given their time to talk to us. So welcome again to you all. So we'll then follow the panel discussion with a quick 15-minute Q&A, which will give all of you the chance to have your questions answered by the panel. And to submit a question, we've just activated the Q&A function, which you can see at the top of the screen there. So please use this and we'll do our best to answer as many questions as we can throughout. Phil's also going to share some links in the chat for you to be able to buy the book at a special discounted price via Amazon. So that's enough from me. Let's jump in and hear from Phil about the book. So could you start by just giving us a quick intro to yourself and your career?
Sure, Stacey. So I'm Philip Shelper, the CEO of Loyalty and Reward Co. I started the company 10 years ago after spending 4 years at Qantas Frequent Flyer, working with amazing people like Lincoln. Prior to that, I was at Vodafone for 8 years, mostly working in marketing. So the company has really expanded quite significantly over the past 5 years. We've grown to 15 people. We've now got offices in Sydney and Melbourne. We just opened an office in New York. And as Stacey mentioned, in the next week, we'll be opening our London office as well. So we're going global and going hard. Yeah, very excited to be here. And thank you all for taking the time to attend.
So tell us, Phil, what is Loyalty Programs, The Complete Guide all about, and why were you inspired to write it?
So one thing that became obvious to me early in my career in loyalty is that there wasn't a book that you could pick up and read and understand everything you need to know about loyalty programs. There were some pretty good books out there, but none of them really told people everything that they needed to know. And I found that very frustrating. And I spoke with a number of other people in the industry who also found it frustrating. So I decided that one day I'd be the person to write that book. We had lots of material and content that would have helped to contribute towards the book, but not a lot of time. And then in March 22, you'll all remember, the whole world went into lockdown and the whole world stopped. We learned how to use video conferencing and other things. And I said to my team, now's that opportunity that we've got to write that book we've been talking about for several years. So we wrote the first edition in about 4 months and published it a couple of months later. And we always said back at that time that we would plan to write a new edition every couple of years. We did intend to write it last year, but we just didn't have the time. So we were determined to write it this year. Actually, we were going to just do a few minor edits to it, add a little bit of additional detail and update some of the case studies, but we ended up really going to town on it. We've added 2 additional chapters. We completely rewrote another 2 chapters, and we've updated all of the case studies. So there's about 25% additional pages in the new edition. So quite a lot of extra content.
So can you share with us what is new in the second edition?
Yeah, so we introduced a chapter about data analytics, which we thought was really important and missing. We also completely rewrote chapter 4, where we introduced loyalty and reward codes essential 8. So that's something that we'd held back from the first book because we felt that there was too much IP there and we wanted to reserve those insights just for our clients. But we thought it was important in this edition to actually share that. So it's the 8 essential principles that we've determined all best practice loyalty programs exhibit, that we've identified as part of studying and joining lots of loyalty programs, as well as studying academic research about loyalty programs as well. So chapter 4 is well worth a read. We also did a complete rewrite of the commercial modelling chapter as well.
Amazing. There's definitely some very rich content and a lot of IP in this edition. Another new addition to this, to edition 2 of the book is the foreword by Professor Thomas O'Toole from Kellogg School of Management in the US. Can you tell us a little bit about how that came to be?
Yeah, so we were very excited by that. So Northwestern is a very prestigious university in the US, and one of our contacts went there to do his MBA last year, and that included doing the loyalty course by Professor O'Toole. And he let us know that as part of that, Professor O'Toole was actually recommending people read Loyalty Programs, a Complete Guide as part of the course reading material. So that made my day. So I actually reached out to him and had a really great conversation with him about loyalty and theory and academic research and everything else. And so when we were writing the second edition, I thought to invite him to write the foreword, and he was very excited to do that. So yeah, we're absolutely thrilled that we've got a major university recommending our book as a textbook.
Yeah, definitely something really exciting. And the book really presents a truly global view of loyalty programs. How did you manage to develop such a vast and global view?
Yeah, I think one of the things that we wanted to avoid in the first edition was making it too Australian-centric. It would have been very easy for us to do that because there is so many great loyalty programs in Australia, but we wanted it to be have a truly global view. And so we spent a lot of time, all of the Loyalty and Award Co team, researching different loyalty programs all around the world. It was just a lot of hard work and a lot of digging and investigation. But I feel that we've got a really nice spread now of great examples of loyalty programs that are doing really amazing things to really open people's minds to what's happening all around the world.
Yeah, absolutely. So now there's over 170 case studies from programs operating all around the world to help illustrate the content throughout the book. So Phil, lastly, Loyalty and Reward Co client, Australian Venue Co, who we have on the call with us today, recently won 3 trophies at the Loyalty and Engagement Awards in Singapore, which you were there in person to collect. How did that feel?
Yeah, it felt pretty good. So firstly, thank you to Marianne and Australian Venue Co for believing in us and engaging us to work on that amazing project. The Path is an amazing loyalty and payments app. So if you download it, you'll be invited to register and register a credit or debit card. And then when you go to any of the Australian Venue Co's 210 plus venues, you can sit at a table and scan a QR code, which will open up the app. You can order food and drink to be delivered to your table and make the payment. You'll earn points, which can be redeemed for vouchers, which you can spend on future transactions. You can also buy and redeem gift cards within the app, and you can nominate your favorite local community sports team to get a rebate based on how much you spend as well. So it's a truly world-class, one-of-its-kind loyalty program, and it absolutely deserved to win those trophies. And I had an absolute ball going up and collecting them. Marianne is actually coming up to Sydney on Thursday for the Australian Marketing Institute Awards, where hopefully we'll win some more trophies. And I've got the Singapore trophies here to give to her to take home as well. Yeah.
Incredible. Well, congratulations. The trophies and the book are definitely something that the entire company are very proud of. So yeah. Thanks so much for sharing. Now I'm going to open up this conversation to the wider panel to talk more broadly about how to optimize a loyalty program for success, building on those 8 principles that Phil spoke about, which are now published to the world in our book. So I'm going to start with some questions for Marianne, the CXO of Australian Venue Co. AVC own and operate over 200 bars, pubs and venues across Australia and New Zealand, and recently launched, as Phil mentioned, their loyalty and payments app, The Path, in 2022. So Marianne, The Path is obviously delivering some amazing results, as Phil mentioned. You won 3 trophies at the Loyalty and Engagement Awards recently. Can you tell us about The Path and why you believe you're seeing such enormous success with it?
For sure. Thanks for having me, Stacey, Phil and team. I think Phil did a really good job of talking about and introing The Path. He's got that one down pat. It is an omni-channel ordering and loyalty platform as well. Like, I think giving the members and customers like their choice on how they order and get rewarded. We've just launched offers as well, so we can tie in to do brand partnerships and so forth. And that's been really powerful, and because obviously we're collecting a lot of interesting data on what our members are purchasing, and then we can use that data to inform what kind of offers and special pricing we do. And I think, you know, if I think about the main reasons that I believe this has been successful, it was very well designed, of course, but, you know, the ability to offer all of these rewards and earnings at so many different venue types. I can't find another product that offers 200 venue brands, you know, in one experience. And I think, you know, you've got your local pub, you've got your cocktail bars, your restaurants and so forth. And I really think, I'm sure a lot of people on the webinar today could relate, but we're operating in a very challenging pricing environment at the moment as well, particularly in hospitality, but I'm sure it's across the board. And so loyalty is an incredible lever to have to pull to basically deliver that value back to members at a pretty critical time when they need it. So that, I think, has been a really big one for us. And the other thing is the ability to be agile and to do something quite quickly and at scale. So, you know, really good example of this was when the Matildas were playing in the World Cup tournament, and we decided on the day of their first match to do something to see if we could drive some great footfall into the pub for the games. We weren't sure how successful the Matildas tournament was going to be for pubs. Turns out it was incredibly successful. So we turned that around in about 2 hours. We got the comms out to members. We created the offer, and we ended up having about 5,000 in-venue redemptions. You know, they spent a good amount of money, and I think we ended up with sort of 30 to 35 redemptions by the end of the tournament. So I think it's successful because we can be really agile, and we can sort of, you know, it was a really great way to engage with members at a sort of pivotal sporting moment in Australia. So yeah, they're probably the main ones. Yeah.
Amazing, and congratulations for generating that level of engagement with your product already after you know, being on the market for such a short amount of time.
Lots of fun.
So can you share a little bit about some of the ways that you're leveraging technology to deliver convenience and meet consumers' ever-evolving expectations?
For sure. I think this is something that Phil and the team helped us with quite early on, is identifying that card linking would be a really good feature and functionality for us. So what that means is that we use the same payment provider for our FPOS terminals in venues, as well as e-commerce via the Pass app. So that really means that once someone has loaded a card into the Pass app, and then they use that over the bar at any of the venues, just tap and pay on the FPOS machine, they can still earn points. So not only are you able to continue that engagement with members, even if they forget to open the app, but you also give members a really completely frictionless way to earn as part of the Pass program without even opening. And we get to see a more holistic view of what members are doing, where they're visiting and what they're spending outside of the app. And about 20% of our revenue comes via card link transactions. So I think that's probably been a really, really important tool for us. And then I think leveraging the technology to provide opportunities to our partners. So what we're finding is that a lot of our suppliers are desperate to be involved in this. And so we can basically tell them a lot about what their customers are ordering. We can deliver really good pricing on particular products. So we have them sort of crawling all over us at the moment, which is a good thing. So we have this brand new tool where one of the, I won't name all of them, but one of the beer companies wants to come in and they have a new product. And so a couple of things that we can do in that space is that they could fund the new price, they could fund bonus points, so they could fund the points liability, or we could actually set it up now where we offer all of our staff. We have 8,500 staff, so we could, and they're on a special segment list, and so we could offer them a free product of that beer brand to try, and that way they have all of our staff members trying a product and can on-sell that. So yeah, lots of interesting ways at the moment.
Incredible, and absolutely amazing that you're driving 20% of your revenue already via the card linking functionality. Yeah. And I think that convergence of loyalty and payments definitely helps to deliver a much more seamless and instantly rewarding experience for members. Absolutely. And we think that it's a trend that will continue for many years to come. So congratulations on being ahead of the curve there.
Thank you.
So lastly, how is ABC using member data to deliver more personalised and relevant communications, offers and experiences to members?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think some of them are really obvious, and I think using, like, where are they buying, what are they buying, what venues haven't they been visited, and what products haven't they purchased? Like, these are all quite powerful when, you know, we worked quite carefully on the life cycle sort of member strategy as well. And so we've now built in some automations that if you have been to these venues but you haven't been to this venue, then an automation sort of triggers off and we showcase, and whether that's like a specific venue or a specific offer. So that's one way you were using it. And I think, again, circling back to the staff list example, we're basically utilizing, like, where are our where do they live? Also, where do they live, where do they work, and making sure that those offers align. So if you are working in the CBD, lunchtime offers or after work drinks offers are going to be more relevant. So really highly targeted and much more relevant comms thanks to the loyalty data.
Wonderful. And do you also use that data to continue to refine and optimize your loyalty program?
Yeah, we do. I think, you know, we know what people are engaging with now. So not just what they purchase, but what offers are they engaging with. And we're doing I'll give you one example. We're doing a split test at the moment where we have one offer that has discount pricing in 2 regions, and then the same product but with bonus points in another region. And so we're going to run that for a month, and we're going to see what the consumers engage with, and that will help us inform and roll out that sort of offer calendar and reward calendar as well. So at the moment, points is winning, FYI. So discounted price I thought was going to win. So it was a fairly heavily discounted price on a beer item, and then a 300 bonus points on the same. And it's been really interesting the first couple of weeks that points is definitely beating price at the moment. So yeah, these are the sort of ways that we're using it to help tweak.
Wow, yeah, it sounds like the program is only going from strength to strength for you. And for the audience, I highly recommend downloading the pass, visiting a venue, and having a play with all of the cool features in it, because it's got some of the best card linking technology that you can find in action. So thank you so much, Marianne.
Thanks,
I might move on to our next panellist, who we want to hear from, Adam Schwab, the co-founder and CEO of Luxury Escapes, Australia's fastest growing travel brand. Hey, Adam.
Hey, Stacey.
So Luxury Escapes are synonymous with great value luxury travel. What elements of travel loyalty programs do you believe are the most important?
Yeah, it's really interesting. Obviously, having worked with Phil and the team over the last year in setting up the program, we're a bit behind Marianne. We haven't quite launched yet, but we're getting pretty close. We do have an existing loyalty partnership with Virgin. I suspect you guys have worked with over the journey as well, which is fantastic. But what we've wanted to have for more than 5 years is our own loyalty plan, as well as a big airline partnership. And I think it's a challenge for us, has always been, I think it's a challenge for a lot of your clients, is when you've got a relatively low margin business, how do you provide a reward in the form of, be it points or cash back, that's meaningful to a customer that actually changes behaviour but doesn't just destroy margin? So that's been our challenge from day one. Phil, obviously, with his background and the team with their background, was able to sort of guide us through there. But the key drivers for us, obviously the earn is relevant. So the ability to reward, and that's, I think, what Marianne talked about mostly was the earn function. So how do you reward people for purchasing, which for us is probably secondary in a sense, and how we designed the program. It was certainly a relevant consideration, but I think what's more relevant for us is the burn element. How do we use burn to push the products we want to push and to get supplier funded discounting for that burn? And then how do we work with third parties, be it credit cards, banks, etc., to effectively sell points for what hopefully is some sort of margin, or a worst case break even, and getting effectively using the burn platform as a free affiliate platform, or a negative affiliate cost platform, which is almost unheard of in e-commerce, and really flipping on its head the way affiliates traditionally work. Usually you pay upwards of 50, potentially more % of your margin to the affiliate partner. Using burn, we think we can get that to almost a negative cost in many instances. So also the challenges that airlines face, and we've had this conversation with both Qantas and Virgin over the years, as a partner with both of them, is that airlines run such high yields at the moment that the key value driver of frequent flyer programs for airlines, i.e. the free seats that were near costless for airlines, they weren't costless, but near cost of airlines, now have a real cost, a huge opportunity cost. If you can sell that business class seat for $12,000, you're not really giving it away at a 6 cent per point redemption rate. So we think we can provide an offering on the earn side there, and as well as the burn side, that is actually very competitive with airlines, where we wouldn't have been able to be competitive 3 years ago because we didn't have that free inventory to give away, but now we're competing against not free inventory. So it's actually a very different calculus for customers.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right. Value is definitely the key driver behind loyalty program engagement. So we're very excited to see this unique burn model in action when you launch. So which companies, Adam, do you think are doing a really great job in the travel loyalty space?
Oh, clearly the airlines do an incredible job. Qantas has been the market leader for 15, 20 years, if not longer. Virgin has done incredibly well to catch up. I think that the Velocity program under Nick has been exceptional. So I think from a standing start, that's been a fantastic achievement. But the legacy of Qantas, I don't understand why 80% of Australian customers use Qantas. It makes no sense. There's minimal utility in the program now because they're running such high loads. So we think that's a great opportunity for us potentially, and clearly Virgin have been able to exploit that to a degree. The customers are, the vast majority of Australians simply mindlessly transfer their points to Amex or from their credit cards to Qantas, thinking they can redeem for high value flights when they can't. So we think there's a real opportunity there. But that said, they're both incredibly profitable programs. QF Loyalty notionally makes 500 million. I think the real number is significantly higher than that. Clearly, there's some interesting transfer pricing going on there. So this is potentially almost all Qantas's value with its loyalty plan. So Qantas does an incredible job. Virgin does an incredible job. And globally, Booking.com, who's probably our main competitor through its Genius program, is a phenomenal operator. So it gives effectively a supplier-funded discount, which we can't achieve because we give supplier-funded discounts to all our customers. Booking.com use it for their Genius members, essentially. So they've done a really good job. The two things that have created Booking as a $100 billion business globally is effectively the ability to cancel any time and their Genius program. So they've done an amazing job. It falls away a lot after that. I think that the global, if you look at globally, BA, Iberian has effectively outsourced all their loyalty to Avios, which is an interesting move. It makes it easy for us to work with them, but I'm not sure that's optimal necessarily. But if you look at what Qantas and Virgin done here, they're the leading lights, I think, globally in travel loyalty.
Yeah, absolutely. So then what are some of the best perks that Luxury Escapes has provided or can provide to your most loyal customers as a reward for their loyalty?
It's a really interesting question. One of the things we probably spent more time than anything with the guys and girls at Loyalty Co was with in a low margin business, how do you reward in terms of the tiering structure? So if you're getting the earn burn, this is how do we provide platinum, gold, diamond style rewards for customers. And we obviously went through what's the stuff we give that has minimal or zero cost to us that the customers value, which is the obvious stuff to give. That can be priority support line. The stuff like an airline can give front row seats. We don't have front row seats. We can give early access to campaigns. We give hidden campaigns that nobody has access to. What we're really excited about is the ability to get some supplier funded discounts as well, which relies on it being a heavily closed user group. So we're creating a separate paid tier similar to the Qantas Club that will have a whole suite of inclusions, a bit like Amex Fine Hotels that obviously you can pay $1,400, $1,500, get access to Amex Fine Hotels through a platinum card. Or we'll have a program that's significantly cheaper and we think actually has a lot more benefits and can sit alongside an Amex card, incidentally. But we think we've done a lot of work in that. Obviously, one of the great plans of that is the Jetstar, which is a much cheaper plan, a much cheaper scheme, but gives early access to flights because they have very limited inventory on flight discounting. So that's got real value in terms of access to those discounts. We don't quite have that, but we can give early access to sales and give hidden campaigns that other customers can't see. So we might, in the past, we've done a hidden campaign for Park Hyatt Sydney, for example, a hotel that didn't want to publicly discount or happy to go to a really small user group in terms of a discount. And we offer that kind of promotion. So you can get 30 or 40% off Park Hyatt. They would never discount usually, but they'll do it to a really closed user group. So there are a number of our hotel partners who will provide offers and discount if they know it's a high quality, small, limited, highly ring-fenced user group. So that's a real win-win we can achieve for our customers and for our clients as well.
Wonderful. It sounds like you've landed on a great mix of complementary travel perks that will enhance your customers' experience when traveling with Luxury Escapes. So we are all on the edge of our seats, very excited to see what's next for Luxury Escapes as you blow the travel loyalty space out of the water. Thanks so much for your insights. So I might move on now to our next panelist, Lincoln Hunter, who is widely recognised as the leading provider of legal services in the loyalty space. So Lincoln, as I mentioned, contributed the legal chapter to Loyalty Programs, The Complete Guide, both Edition 1 and Edition 2. Hey, Lincoln.
Howdy.
Could you tell us a little bit about what Loyalty Legal, your boutique loyalty firm, specialises in?
I certainly will. I did want to say, though, I'm sorry, Phil, that you didn't take up my suggestion to have 2 chapters on legal issues in the book. It would have been much better read if you had. But anyway, I'll push for that in the edition 3. Yeah, so look, as Stacey said, a lot of you guys know me. I spent 8 or 9 years at Qantas, responsible for the legal function there that covered Qantas Frequent Flyer. In 2013, I thought there was a better world out there, and I set up my own firm, and it turned out there was a better world out there than Qantas, believe it or not. And so ever since then, since 2013, I've basically run a firm called Loyalty Legal. There's not many of us. There's only 2 at the moment. We're a really small, very boutique-y, focusing on loyalty-related work, whatever that may be. You know, loyalty service providers providing the loyalty programs, data houses, loyalty programs themselves. There's plenty of avenues for us to be involved in the loyalty space, and we pretty much are involved in most of them. And you know, I enjoy the loyalty as much as I love the legal.
And the lines are often blurred for you between both of them.
That's right. That's right. Like even now, I should not really be on a panel talking about how best to optimize your loyalty program. I can see a lot of you thinking that right now. However, I'll put my commercial hat on and hang on.
Perfect. So we want to pick your brain on data today because it's such a huge component of a loyalty program. So in what ways will the tightening of consumer privacy laws globally, like the recent Australian Privacy Act review, impact loyalty program operators?
Yeah, look, the answer is twofold. In lots of ways and in none. Because if you're a loyalty program now that is really doing a very good job on your data management and your privacy controls, the compliance with the new regime that's coming in Australia and the other tightening of regimes around the world, and there are many up through Asia, more and more privacy regimes are being introduced. Places like California, the EU are just tightening as they go. But, you know, the nearest one and the closest to home is the Australian one, and we are right in the middle of that now. For those that don't know, last week, no, it wasn't last week, the week before, the government issued its formal response to the Privacy Act review report that was released earlier this year. And it is interesting reading. It's only 40 pages. It's worth everyone having a little read. I was a little bit worried that the government were going to get gung-ho and race through into legislation, but I'm feeling a little bit more comfortable that the government's reply is more circumspect and more open to further discussion and investigation, which is really good, especially around the things that really relate to loyalty programs. Things like consent in relation to the use of data, personal information, I should say. Consent and the ability to opt out of direct marketing and trading of personal information, and the biggest one of all, the ability to opt out of targeted advertising. The government, and I don't know if I'm reading too much into this, but the government have sort of put those elements into the agreed in principle category, which means they're definitely supportive of the changes, but they want to do a little bit more work engaging with specialists in the business, specialists in industry before they legislate. So I feel positive about that, but you never know. I'm actually been trying to find out the last 2 weeks exactly what that next engagement process is going to look like, because we've been through 2 huge engagement processes since this process started. So the next one will be interesting. But look, you know, the days when loyalty programs or anyone else for that matter could just skate through and not give much attention to data and their treatment of personal information are long gone anyway. The latest changes around the world, including in Australia, just put a dot on the top of the I and a cross on the T in relation to that. The days of, you know, taking a half-assed approach are just gone.
Understand. I think that, yeah, there's still a lot for loyalty programs to consider with respect to data privacy, and I think you're only going to get busier and busier on this, Lincoln.
Right. I think we might be growing off the back of the privacy reviews. There's no doubt about that.
So I'm going to end with a fun one for you. What's your favourite loyalty program?
Oh, okay. That's actually easy. My family's favourite loyalty program is the McDonald's app. We absolutely love it. We typically only try and go to McDonald's when we're on long car journeys. So the fact that you can, 10 kilometres out from wherever the next McDonald's is, get on the app, order your stuff. That order doesn't go through until you're about 5 k's away or whatever it may be. It goes through, you drive into the drive-in, you get your food, you get your points, you get your rewards, you can redeem your rewards on the app. I have to say that is a cracker. My kids love it, my wife loves it, so that's my favorite. The only difficulty is, like, in Australia, when you are out in the middle of nowhere and you're 50 kilometres away from the next McDonald's, obviously the signal, the network is a bit ordinary, so sometimes the app can't function. But in terms of all-in-one business app to actually conduct business, loyalty program to earn points, history of orders, being able to replicate your orders, being able to redeem your points or whatever it may be, all in one place, all in one app that my wife can drive, not me. Fantastic.
Definitely. They also operate offers and loyalty seamlessly together within the one app, and it's probably the best practice, the best example that I've seen of best practice.
You see, I knew you'd know more about it than me.
Well, thank you, Lincoln. So audience, feel free to submit any questions that you have in the Q&A tab. I do have a couple more questions that I'm going to open up to all the panelists. So panelists, feel free to jump in and answer any that you feel passionately about, while our audience think of some questions that they want answered as well. So firstly, what makes you angry about the way that some loyalty programs are run? Marianne, go for gold.
This one gets me. I'll use an example here. I really, really find the lack of transparency on how to earn points or rewards, etc. I find that so frustrating. And there is a large telephone it used to be called Telecom. So Telstra, they've launched a loyalty program. I got automatically opted in. I had no communication about why I was in the program. I don't do anything extra to earn points. And I found that a really infuriating sort of experience of, not understanding how I was going to utilize the program itself. And I think I benchmark a lot too. My favorite loyalty program is Mecca. I'm an absolute sucker. I'm on level 3, aiming to get to level 4 shortly. And they just do a really good job. It's really simply explained, both in an FAQ style on the website, all of that sort of thing. So I think that lack of transparency and clearness on, step by step how to use a program is a big one for me. Yeah.
Definitely. And I'm, as a fellow Mecca Beauty Loop sucker, I love the program also. But yes, as we do academic research and look at research reports, we see that consumers are actually willing to share their data in exchange for something, whether that's rewards or whether that's for an enhanced and more personalized experience. But transparency on how that data is going to be used is definitely important, and consumers don't want to share it unless they can see that value exchange in action. Mm-hmm. So the next one for you all, Qantas is, as you would all know, facing some brand reputation issues at the moment. Do you think that Qantas Frequent Flyer has a role to play in helping the company through these issues?
Yeah, look, I'll jump in. Being a bit of a Qantas tragic for many years, and having been there, there is no doubt. There is absolutely no doubt it will be the cornerstone of their response, and rightly so. It's their chief, engagement tool, their chief conduit to their customers. Not their only conduit, not by any stretch of the imagination, but it will be, and it's a relatively cheap model for them as well. There's no doubt about that. So it will be the cornerstone of their response. Obviously, though, as all of you guys know, if the machine is broken, if the delivery, if the underlying business is not operating as it should and is not delivering appropriate value at the just business level, your loyalty program cannot save you from that. It cannot paper over that. So I think there'll probably be two phases with Qantas. They will get their house in order. They will need to get their house in order. And then the Frequent Flyer program will be the cornerstone of the give back value program. That's just my 2 cents. I know nothing of the internal workings.
I was I
was going to say, I'd love to hear what Adam has to say.
We talk about this on my podcast every week. We talk about Richard Goyder's surviving at Qantas somehow. I think I'll take the opposite point, Lincoln. I think one of the biggest problems with Qantas, we can talk about obviously the flight cancellations was outrageous, but the biggest problem they have is the loyalty program is probably the worst value part of Qantas. You simply cannot redeem. Like you maybe get economy flights. Even when I was a CL member, I couldn't redeem anywhere. You certainly couldn't redeem business class flights, which is where the value is, the 5 cent per point value is. Otherwise, I'm doing a 1.2 cent economy flight, big deal. There's no value there. I can get much better value elsewhere. Why would I redeem for that? So if you want genuine value redemptions, you just can't get them. It's been the greatest bait and switch almost since Google did, since Facebook did that great bait and switch. They've managed to, because they've had attention focused elsewhere on the other stuff they've done wrong, they've got away with it. But anybody who knows anything about point hacking and loyalty knows that it's just an absolute rort. Anybody smart uses SQ or Virgin domestically or Qatar now. There's just no point in transferring points to Qantas at the moment. And I don't know there's a great, and I feel sorry for Liv and Kymon because I'm not sure they've got the ability to fix it because the airline is the one who gives them the seats. So those guys can do everything. And then Joyce set this ridiculous earnings target on loyalty that's unmeetable. It has to do things like buy a Tripper deal, which is ridiculous. So there's a whole lot of stuff that's been lumped on loyalty, but ultimately the value is not there. And if you believe in first principles, ultimately customers will realise that value is not there and turn to Virgin, hopefully turn to people like us who can give better value and actual redemptions.
Have you seen that yet, Adam?
We haven't launched yet. I'm not sure there's how many Virgin people on the call. They can talk about their own program, but Qantas still has a line. I think customers simply don't realise. The amount of people I speak to and they say, who do you use? I use Qantas. I said, do you ever redeem? They go, oh, I can't redeem. Like it's eventually people realise that at the moment there's just a lot of misunderstanding and people naturally. Qantas got that great legacy, and I think because Joyce did so much damage to the brand because he got away with it for so long. And I was a big Alan Joyce fan until probably a year ago. He did so much damage to the brand. I think eventually loyalty, like I'm not saying loyalty, but Qantas loyalty will still be the majority program in Australia, but it'll be chipped away and continually chipped away because the value is not there. And ultimately, customers will see value, I think, in time.
Yeah, which is a shame because it is their direct line to their consumers, and they've probably got a direct line to half of the Australian population. So it could be used as a really good way, but yeah, if the value's not there, that's going to make it very difficult for them.
Well, that's really my fundamental point. Because they are in such dire straits, once they get those dire straits worked out, they're going to have to adjust the value equation. Anyway.
I agree.
The question is, Lincoln, is they've got issues with fuel costs, with labour costs, with ACCC. That 2.5 billion is getting further and further away. It goes down to like Vanessa talked about increasing it potentially to 3+. Like I think if that's down at, and clearly the market's putting a multiple of 5 on Qantas at the moment. So they think the market thinks earnings are going to drop significantly. I'm not sure Qantas have the bandwidth to be more generous with loyalty. They should be. I agree, 100% agree with you. They should be. I agree with Marianne. I'm just not sure they've got the firepower to do it.
Interesting.
Agree. So a number of companies in Australia and around the world you would have seen have suffered database hacks. This includes the hacking of data collected by their loyalty programs. Do you think that this is making consumers think twice about joining a loyalty program?
Yes, absolutely.
Me too.
Quick, easy one.
Yeah, I do, and I think we have a big responsibility to build in, and we spoke about it before, but to build in that transparency and the security layers. And just a simple thing that we do is when someone closes their account, it basically auto deletes every single piece of PI data, it de-anonymizes, like everything, sorry, it anonymizes all of the data from start to finish in an automated process. And I think telling people about that and having those processes built in is really important. But at the end of the day, people are still going, especially because they're adding payment methods to ours as well. So that's definitely become more of a theme whereby customers are asking us more about our payment securities and about our protocols. So yes, absolutely.
Awesome. So thanks for answering my questions. We now have some really great questions from the audience, which Susan, our other loyalty director, has put here for me. So firstly, someone wants to know from the panel, how should brands manage new customer acquisition with great offers while still looking after their existing customer base and not alienating them?
Yeah, I really love that. So sorry if anyone else wants to, I wasn't looking at the screen then, I was thinking. For us, I think having a consistent acquisition reward has been really successful. So it doesn't matter when you sign up. So I think keeping that consistency, if it's working, obviously you can change things up, that's fine. But if you consistently have that, it's just about making sure that that strategy is involved. Like, what are you giving new customers versus everyone else? And I think as long as you have that consistent acquisition reward or whatever that looks like, and then you know that that's consistently what you get, then you can build all the offers around it. I think but it is an important piece to map out and make sure that you're not impacting. It's like the old bank loyalty piece as well.
Yeah, great. Interesting. Thanks, Marianne. So I've got another question. This one's for Phil to answer. So Phil, you only briefly touch on subscription models in chapter 16, and it seems to be with some apprehension. With the likes of Netflix, Spotify, and Amazon Prime being so successful at building the membership economy, why is it not more prevalent as a premium offering by other verticals with established free loyalty programs? So why aren't more people adopting subscription models, and can you shed some more light in more detail around your thoughts on subscription models?
Yeah, sure. So firstly, I'll say we do have pretty light touch on subscriptions in the second edition of the book. We're actually working with a number of very big global brands at the moment on developing them subscription strategies, and as part of that, we've developed out a full subscription model. So the third edition of the book, which we'll be writing at some stage, we're going to be including a full chapter on subscriptions in there. So hold that thought. But I think the ultimate answer to that is subscriptions are actually really, really difficult to make work. Amazon's done a great job with it, but they've managed to do that purely through the scale that they have and the economies that they enjoy as a result of that. Customers who sign up to subscriptions have pretty high expectations of the value that they're going to get from it. You need to have a really good retention strategy in place to make sure that they continue as a customer and don't churn at the end of the period. The value that you provide needs to be quite substantial, the customer service experience. So a lot of companies just aren't able to pull together a reasonable and compelling bundle that would make someone want to have a subscription with them. That being said, there's definitely lots of industries out there where subscriptions could be made to work. And if companies did get focused on it and really think about the different ways to address it and attack it, they could be very successful there. So we absolutely think that companies should be thinking a lot more in this space.
Yes, I think while acknowledging as well that consumers do have subscription fatigue, so there's got to be quite a compelling reason to launch a subscription, and it's got to deliver value. Again, it comes back to value.
Yeah, that's right. So one thing that we're definitely seeing amongst companies that we're talking to is subscriptions really boomed during pandemic. Not surprisingly, people were doing a lot more online shopping, and there's been quite significant drop off ever since that. So there's a lot of companies out there with subscription models that are bleeding quite heavily at the moment, and doing a lot of strategizing to figure out how to arrest that decline. Which in itself is its own challenge, that's for sure. Before we move on to the next question, Stacey, I will just say It would be really amazing if everyone on the call today could take the time to go onto Amazon and either purchase a Kindle or paperback version of the book. I've dropped the link into the chat, so you just need to click and put it in your shopping cart, and away you go.
Thanks, Phil. We also love 5-star reviews as well. So there's another audience question here, and it's about how do you analyze whether exploring a loyalty opportunity is worth it, and whether whether that's worth pursuing, and what are the opportunities and pitfalls, and how do you analyze the size of the prize?
Yeah, so I think we define a loyalty program as a behavior stimulation program. So when we're working with clients, we always start by saying, what is it that you want customers to do more of across the life cycle? So when we were working with Marianne, or when we were working with Adam, the conversation started with, what behaviors do you want to stimulate? And we mapped those out, and that then gave us the template to design the loyalty program in a really targeted and focused way. So identifying whether those behaviors are going to be able to be sufficiently stimulated by a program is a great way to start. And then the second thing that we do is a simple cost-benefit analysis. So getting an understanding of what benefits can be generated from acquiring new customers, stimulating an increase in spend, retaining more customers, boosting advocacy, and collecting data, and potentially data that can be monetized, versus what are the costs going to be to design, implement, and operate the program. So you can get an initial sense of whether the return on investment is there. So that's where we would always start, and sometimes we do that before we're even formally engaged by the client. But it gives you some really good data points to analyze as to whether it's worthwhile continuing or not.
Absolutely. And I have another good question from David Palfrey, which leads on from this. So panelists, which loyalty program do you think is the best at encouraging future purchases as opposed to just rewarding past behaviour?
I mean, Mecca, again, has done a very good job of getting me to buy perfume and skincare and makeup to get to the next level, because I love, it doesn't matter how old you are, you get a free little box of all samples of all types of products. So for me, like, I'm already thinking, and I've actually shifted some of my purchases, like shampoo and conditioner, from your Chemist Warehouse or your supermarket over to Mecca. So that would be one example from me.
Absolutely. I wrote a blog article recently that was basically just screenshots of the power of the Mecca Beauty Loop program in being able to stimulate future behaviours. So people are talking on this Mecca chat group that's set up by Mecca, giving each other advice on how they can concentrate their spend with Mecca by buying gifts for other people in order to reach larger tiers, to buy more expensive products in order to reach higher tiers and unlock better Beauty Loop boxes, which essentially they get the rewards for free because the brands are contributing them as a way to reach Mecca's engaged customer base. So it's just poetry, that program, I will agree. Okay, so let's have one more question. So gamification has been flagged as a key loyalty trend for a while. Who do you think is playing to this trend well, either globally or in Australia?
I think some of the Chinese apps do an incredible job. Pinduoduo is probably the market leader globally. They do an incredible job gamifying. They've got an e-commerce site. Hopper, which is a US-based OTA, essentially, has tried to copy Pinduoduo, and they're doing a pretty good job of that. They're more of a financial products website now, but the Chinese and the Asian sites in general are streets ahead of, I think, the Western sites in terms of gamification.
Yeah,
and app-based.
Macca's Monopoly into the Macca's app as well at the moment is big. Yeah. My son is 8 and I try not to feed him too much McDonald's, but he's obsessed. It's like an early form of gaming grooming, if you ask me, but he's obsessed with collecting all of things, and then he scans the app and, you know, scans all of the code. So I think they do a pretty good job, but I agree. I think some of the Chinese brands are doing an excellent job.
Definitely. Okay, so I think that's all we have time for in terms of our panel questions for today, but we did get all of the audience questions answered. It's been such an insightful discussion on what it takes to make a loyalty program succeed, and I hope that you've all gained some helpful tips and tricks from our panelists throughout as well. My key takeaways would be that loyalty programs are the single most important marketing discipline of the 21st century. Given that when they're designed and optimized for success, they can absolutely work to generate increased acquisition, spend, retention, advocacy, and data collection. But the core challenges to watch out for, obviously, as Lincoln touched on, are the tightening of consumer privacy laws globally and security and fraud breaches as well. So that's, is there anything else that anyone would like to add to that?
Good.
All
I look forward to having a read.
Amazing. So I will post again a link to purchase the book. Phil has reduced the price, so there's a $10 discount applied to the paperback version for the next 3 days, and the Kindle price is $9.99. So for me, that's a bargain for the most comprehensive book on loyalty programs on the planet, and it's a must read for anyone looking to excel in the loyalty space. So thanks again for participating, and if you have any extra questions that pop up or want us to answer anything on loyalty, feel free to reach out to anyone at Loyalty and Reward Co. Contact me directly and I'll ensure that they get answered for you. So enjoy the rest of your day, everyone. And thanks again to our panelists for very generously dedicating their time, and our audience as well for joining us. So thank you. That's a wrap.
Thanks, Stacey. Thanks, Phil.
Stacey.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks all.
Thank you.